Hey guys, it's Sarah Green from Tax Rep Network. One thing that has happened over 25 years of representing taxpayers civilly and criminally before the IRS and departments of revenue, I've seen every mistake in the book on how people try to write things off or document things. Well, look, on July 18th, I decided I'm doing 2 hours on literally, if you're self-employed, a freelancer, have a home-based business, how to write off your life, how to deduct the vacation, how to write off your kids' tuition, how to deduct the home office, what's better, leasing or owning and writing off the car, and how you have to document all of the fringe benefits you can put in place, why you should consider being an S Corp, all of it. All right. The other thing is, I'm also going to review the apps that are available to just automate a lot of this, right? It ain't like it used to be. I'm very impressed with the stuff that's available. It either ties into, feeds into, or is part of Intuit's QuickBooks. So you can really automate this. So if you or someone you know decide you really want to learn how to do this, so what am I going to be covering? Well, first of all, I am going to cover how to handle an IRS audit. There's a lot of fear around this. There doesn't need to be. Okay. Most problems in an audit, assuming you're not committing fraud for the most part, most problems in an audit occur because the client doesn't keep good documentation and the tax professional, and yes, I'm looking at all you CPAs and EAs and attorneys, don't really educate them. They say, oh, keep the backup, keep the receipt. Well, what does that mean? The other thing is receipts. I don't know about you, that magnetic ink, it fades and is gone in 6 months to a year. So I've actually had people give me receipts that have nothing on them. They'll say, well, I keep a separate credit card for all that. You probably found out auditors don't like that. They don't know what it is. You're supposed to keep a receipt. A credit card and a credit card statement is not a receipt. So I'm going to walk you through and give you a checklist of how to document all of this, right? How to basically how it is you can sleep at night, get every possible deduction possible, right? And probably some you're not even thinking about. So we're going to cover with a home office. What is a home office? How to deduct the home office, how to document it so you maximize your deductions and you sleep better at night. Car, leasing and or owning. How do you write this off? Which is better? All right. And again, how you document this. And by the way, what is the auditor going to do when they come in? Beyond the, oh, you don't have any documentation? Goodbye. All right. So that's not going to happen. Right. But I'm going to walk you through what you need to do. All right. You want to write off your vacation? We can do that. You want to write off your children's tuition? We can do that. It's got to be done the right way. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through what you need to do, how you document it, and again, give you ideas on things that you probably haven't even thought of. I also want to get into all the fringe benefits. All right. Health insurance, life, disability, all the stuff that you actually need and you can write off. Okay. What else are we going to do? I'm going to go through choice of entity with you. LLC, S Corp, one into the other. When should you be a C Corp? Should you be a sole proprietor? I can give you that answer right now. No, no one should be a sole proprietor. All right. Again, I'm going to cover where, by the way, where do you want to set these up? Should you be a Delaware C Corp? Should you be a Nevada LLC? I'll give you the kind of the skinny on that, and I also want to walk through with you, by the way, while we're on the subject. I want to walk through with you basically hobby loss issues and when you should start getting concerned whether you have a business or a hobby. See, the big caveat to all of this, the big inside secret, you need to be making money. So many people come into me, they want to set up a new entity, right? I got this business idea, and they immediately get into the write-offs. I heard you talk on a radio show. I can write off my vacation. I can, yes. But before we get there, let's talk about your business idea. All right. Because look, I was an accountant, became a lawyer, went to work for big firms, hated every minute of it, went out on my own. I now own four different businesses and I'm starting a fifth. All of my businesses make money. I don't start businesses to generate losses. That's ridiculous. So the first thing I do want to focus on, are you making money? What are you doing to generate income? Because you got to be making money first before you start in with all the write-offs. Yes, you have that startup period, that first year or two where you could take some losses, but we don't want to actually be taking losses. Now, again, in real estate, these can be tax shelters, right? You get depreciation, all kinds of stuff. That's a different issue. Although even there, you could be taking losses on paper. You better be cash flow positive. If you're not cash flow positive, this isn't an asset, it's a liability. And I don't know about you, I got plenty of liabilities. I don't need another one. But so we're going to talk about the fact that you need to be making money and what are the factors that the IRS looks at in terms of whether this is a business or a hobby. And then again, finally, I want to wrap up with some really good ideas on how you document this, the apps that are available to you now. If you want to be an S Corp, how you evaluate that, the savings you could do, profit sharing plan for yourself, all of the benefits. You have to understand something. The tax code was written by the rich for the rich. It's written for the wealthy. It's not written for W-2 employees. Employees have no benefits. So if you're somebody sitting there who's dreamt of being an entrepreneur, but you haven't gotten up to launch, right? To start that side hustle, let's get started. All right. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about overcoming fear. I had it. In fact, I had it something terrible. All right. I mean, look who you're talking about. A geeky accountant who was going to law school with a lisp and glasses. All right. I didn't feel that that really engendered a lot of comfort in potential clients and who am I to go do this? And I don't want to be on video. That's like frightening, terrifying almost. You get over that and you get over it pretty quickly. The world is your oyster. You got to go get it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I do have, even though I'm not a life coach, I do have some insight into that, having been through it myself, right? But I think that we are really going to give you a lot of great stuff to the point where I'm betting you will get a tenfold return from this seminar. The early bird's 199 bucks. I can guarantee you, you're going to easily get back $2,000 in taxes from this, probably 5 times that much. Right? So we're going to arm you. Here are all the great ideas. Here's how you have to document it so you don't have to worry about that audit. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're not losing sleep at night. I am going to walk you through the audit process too, because a lot of that fear comes from the unknown. It's not that complicated. All right. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story you might like. I hope you like. When I started tax rep, one of the first things that happened, so I started it, what tax rep is today is 200 hours of on-demand training, the help desk. We have a social network inside. I mean, we have now over 400 members all over the country. At the time, it was just an 8-hour training course. That's it on how to resolve a tax debt. That was tax rep. That's all it was. I got an email one day from a CPA, lovely person. And so she emailed, said, Miss Green, I've signed up for your class. I'm really interested in this, but I have an audit that I'm trying to deal with. I've never done this before. And, could you help me? So I emailed her, said, sure, give me your phone number. I'll jump on and we'll have a call. So I call her back. She emails back immediately. I call her immediately. And she's like, I can't believe you're speaking to me. I'm like, of course, why wouldn't I? I mean, normally, if a CPA called me up, I would take the call and give them at least a few minutes of my time. Just good networking. All this stuff always comes back to you. All right. The good stuff you put out in the world always comes back to you. I am convinced. By the way, the bad stuff you put out also comes back to you. So I like to try to put good out there. But anyway, no problem. What's going on? My client's being audited. Now, apparently, there is another organization. They're still around. And they were doing a workshop on audits. So she had contacted them for help, and they said, until you pay for the course, we're not helping you. And she said, well, can I get through this on my own? And they told her, no, you're probably way in over your head. If you're going to do this on your own, let's hope you survive it. I remember those words clearly. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. All right. So I told her, I'm like, look, you have the tax return in front of you, the client's return. Yes. Did you prepare it? No, no, no. Someone else prepared it. I said, okay. An audit is the reverse of the return. She said, what do you mean? I said, you see the return? She said, yes. I said, you see the numbers on the return? She said, yes. I said, prove it. She said, what do you mean? I said, prove it. Is there a wages and withholding? Give me the W-2. You have bank interest? Give me the 1099. You see the deductions? Give me the backup on that. Do you have receipts? Is it a charge on a credit card, bank statement? I said, basically back up the numbers, prove the numbers on that return. That's it. You see the numbers, prove it. And she said, that's it. I said, that's it. I wish I could tell you there's some deep secret to this that I'll let you in behind the curtain. Bullshit. There's no big secret to this, okay? So I'm going to walk you through that. One, it helps you feel more comfortable about this, whether you're an accountant who's never dealt with it or done a lot of it, or you're a business owner and you're thinking, you're saying not to be worried. All I hear is terrible things about the IRS. No big deal. All right. But it's no big deal, assuming you have got the records. What happens is taxpayers don't keep their records well. That's when you've got problems, because now the burden is on the taxpayer to prove that they're entitled to a deduction. If it's unreported income, the burden's on the government. The deduction that you're entitled to a deduction, the burden is on the taxpayer. All right. So it is critical that you maintain the documents. Now, if you don't have them, yes, they could potentially be reconstructed. I know lots of forensic accountants. We do forensic accounting classes on tax rep for accountants. You really don't want to be in the position of that. First of all, to do it forensic accounting isn't inexpensive. Second of all, we often can't get everything. Right. I had a huge win. We only got back 72%. The client was flipping houses, paying for everything in cash. We reconstructed what we could. Government accepted everything we did. We still only got about 84,000 of the 117,000 expenses they claimed. Now, that was a huge win because he really had nothing. But it's not 100%. You're much better off keeping the records from the word go. But I know a lot of people don't know what that is. They don't know what that entails. I'm going to walk you through that. All right. So by joining us for this, we're going to give you lots of ideas, tell you exactly what you're allowed to write off and how to do that and how to document it. Okay. This way, you are going to maximize, like the wealthy, you're going to maximize your deductions. And for those of you who are sitting on the fence about that side hustle, the freelance work, that self-employment that you've been thinking about, I hope what I'm going to do is arm you so that you can get over the fear and go for it. All right. Nothing to it but to do it. And what's the worst thing that happens? It fails. Okay. Now, depending on the business, if you're betting the farm on it, that's a different issue. But for many of us who are going to do digital consulting or assets or whatever, it's not a huge, heavy lift to get started these days. Get started. The first step on any journey is the first step. Let's take the first step. So look, there's a link in the description, July 18th. Please join us for this seminar. You're going to get a ton out of it. All right. You will also get access to the recording afterward. Right. That's part of our deal. So you can always go back and watch parts of it that maybe you missed or you want to hear again. We're also going to give you a workbook, not only with every idea, but a checklist of what you need to document, that expense, that write-off, that benefit. All right. So again, Eric Green from Tax Rep Network. I hope you join us on the 18th. And I'll see you in the seminar, and we're going to make a lot of money, save a lot of taxes, and sleep way better this year. Bye bye.